let's speak before about your grandparents from the Schindler's List. It is very interesting. What is the story of your grandfather?
It's my father-in-law. It's my wife's father. He grew up in Poland, in Krakow. He was 13 years old, and his sister was like 2-3 years older. Their parents had a textile factory, and when the war started, somehow with family connections, they started working in Schindler's factory. At the beginning, it was a factory that did some kitchen accessories, pots and metal stuff. And then when the war started, Schindler started transferring the factory to weapons for the German army. He used to bribe many Germans, and he protected almost, if I remember well, 1,100 Jews that were his employees. The problem was that they were not really professionals, so he needed first to teach them and keep them kind of undercover. There was a story that somewhere there was a big shipment of 400 employees that they took to one of the concentration camps, and he went there, invested quite a lot of money, and was able to bring them all back. And in that shipment there was the sister and my wife's grandmother. I mean, most of the ladies in the family, and they were brought back. And they finished the war in Ghetto Plaszow. Then they went back to Germany. He studied to be a dentist and made Aliyah to Israel. And thanks to Schindler, my father-in-law was alive, now he's not with us anymore. My wife was born, whom I know from a very young age, and my two kids. And I always say that also to myself. Somehow, when Schindler protected 1,100 people, today he actually protected 50,000, because it's generations of generations of generations. My wife still remembers Schindler himself. Oskar Schindler used to come to their home in Tel Aviv. He was a gambler. He had a lot of issues with ladies. He lost a lot of money. And the Schindler survivors for years supported him. And every time he came, they collected money for him to keep him alive. Just to try to give him back for the lives they received from him. Wow. And somehow, for me, it's always the connection between the serving in the best elite unit in the Israeli army, whom I think is the best army and the most ethical army in the world. And for me, it's a cycle. You know, when you are young, you don't think about it. You go to the army, you say, okay, I'm Zionist, I want to go to the best place, to the more exciting place. That part comes afterwards. And you know, my biggest problem was not when I served. That was my parents' issue, when my son joined the unit. Because then I'm still in the unit, I know what's going on, and it makes it much more difficult. Because as a father, your way to treat risks is you have a different perspective. But anyway, thanks God. We crossed the service. It's a struggle. Living in Israel is a struggle. Being a Jew anywhere is a struggle. But I believe that we are strong, and we should keep being stronger. Because in the key times, it's us. Nobody else. We will have to protect ourselves. We can trust everybody, but at the end, we should be strong. And we is the Jewish people. And Israel is a kind of physical and spiritual shelter for the Jewish people. When Israel is strong, the Jewish people around the world, they walk proud, they keep the kippah on their heads. And when Israel is weak, anti-Semitism is going up, and people are starting considering, should I stay there, should I make aliyah? People should make aliyah not from fear. They should make aliyah only if they decide that they want to live in this beautiful, crazy country.
Why did you choose to, why did you join the SEALs?
You
Why
know,
the SEALs?
it's a funny story. When I was 17 years old, I wanted to go to diving course. Diving course was quite expensive in Tel Aviv. And then a friend of mine told me there is a program by the SEALs that at the 1 year before joining the army, you can join for summer, kind of summer camp near the base, managed by the SEALs, a diving course, 2 weeks, and the third week is a kind of tests, like a week of filtering gibush. You do it as a civilian, and if you pass, when you join the army, you can say, I want to go to the SEALs, and you go all the way. It's the same test that you do when you recruit the army. But I went there just to have a free diving course, I'm telling you. I did the course, I got a diving certificate, I stayed for the, it's like 4 tough days. I can share with you that the week after I could not walk. And during that week I said, I will do whatever I can to pass. So I'm there. I passed. I said, okay, I'm going to the SEALs. Yes. And that's it. But there was no strategy, no planning, nothing. I thought that these 4 days of filtering, it will be the most difficult days in my life. Then when you start the course, you realize that this is walking in the park. And you know, I think there are 2 very good decisions I made in my life. Is my marriage and where I joined the army.
And how long did you stay in the SEALs?
I served for 5 years as an officer, and since then I still do. I started 1980. I was in active until 1985, and then I'm doing reserve until these days. I'm still doing between 30 to 45 days per year, exercising. If there are needed, they take also reserve people to operations in different roles. But yeah, I'm still there.
Why do you think the sea heals people?
You know, there is something that people go to the sea, sometimes they tell you, we go to relax. We sit on the beach, we relax. I think is the color, is the horizon, is the fresh air. You don't have the intensive noise of a city, of traffic, of pollution. And when we do what we do with our programs, the sea for these guys is completely strange and not familiar environment. Because most of them are land forces. So we take them from where they experienced the bad event to a different layer. We connect them to a guy that through their eyes is a hero. We get them so close together so they can really open their heart. And they're in a group, and they're in a sea activity which is intensive. Also the intensive part does not give them for the brain to work overtime, because PTSD guys, the big problem is during the night. They lie in bed, they have the noises, they feel the smells of the events, they have nightmares, they cannot sleep, they might go to sleep 6 o'clock in the morning. Now when they practice with a guide, with a hero through their eyes, that gives them the confidence, teach them how to handle a different layer of environment, the maritime environment. It gives them the grounds, the foundation to build something new. And we could see that, by the tests we do, by the questionnaires, and you can see there, the guys on the film, there were real guys that joined the body line for the last session. There was a guy there that was sitting on the boat that he said that the event came to him 16 years after. He's married with 3 kids, and he was completely out of the family. And now he's fully back. It's unbelievable. I met his wife and the kids. And you know what? Eddie said, "Kol Israel arevim ze laze." In my eyes, hametzil nefesh achat כאילו הציל עולם ומלואו. וזה for me became my life mission.
Tell us a little bit about Operation Moses in Sudan. We know how near is the how is it like it was represented in Netflix?
Honestly, I looked at the movie. It's a movie, but the basics are quite real. You know, it's a movie. It's 1 hour and a half. From my point of view,
How long were you there?
it's a long operation because the distance is. Sudan is quite far away from Israel, so we had to sail with a big, we call it mother boat, undercover, as a vessel that is kind of international, so we could not be recognized as the Israeli Navy. And the timing that we could get on the shore with the Zodiacs to bring each time like 100 or 150 people, we could not know every day until the last moment. So we knew like 5, 6 o'clock in the evening that we have a go from the guys on the beach. That they were undercover instructors of a diving resort that used to be a diving resort but was shut down years before. And God knows, who comes to a diving course in the middle of the desert in Sudan? And once we got a green light, then we started to run and prepare everything and take the boat down from the big vessel, had to sail all the way, and there were many reefs there, so we needed to be cautious. And we came on the shore, and then the guys on the shore started distributing the families to the boats. And you see people, they came to the water, they felt the water, they started drinking, but these are salty water. And we said, guys, now, then they said, okay, you have 14 in your boat, but you have to count them. I started counting, and there were 12. And then we found out there were 2 babies. Today there is a similar basket-like that we could not find. We delayed half an hour because we thought we are missing someone. And there were babies that like 1, 2 months old. And there were old people that looked like 90 years old. We covered them. They did not say anything. I really admire them. They went through the desert. Many people died from malaria, and also there were many people died on the big boat. I remember we had some issues there. But you could see the 2 pictures. I did not see them for 30 years because this was silent. And then suddenly, I think 10 years ago, I saw an album. I said, hey, that's me on the boat. So I keep it on my mobile.
How old you were?
I was 20. I just finished the course. 2 weeks later, I said to my parents, bye, I'm going for 5 weeks. They say, where? I said, I'm sorry, I cannot tell you. And actually, I did not know. They told us on the way, what's the mission? Today, I think it would be difficult with all the mobile phones and everybody knows everything. But also when my son did the service, he did some things that he disappeared for a month. But for me, it was easy because I could call the base and ask how is he.
And Can you share with us a moment that was very, very important for you in Operation Moses?
It's funny, I was too young to think, to feel, honestly. When I speak today about Operation Moses, you can see my dark skin. I can feel the mission, I can feel the Zionism. When I was young there, for me it was a mission. We have to go to shore to bring Jewish people back to Israel. There were shootings, we need to stay alive to keep the safety of these guys and come back home. Only when we came back, you know, a few years I can share with you, we have a program in the city of Hedera with our mentors. I did not talk about it because I did not want to confuse the audience. That we are guiding 15 ladies from the Hedera municipality that they don't have a very strong families behind them. So we do the mentoring for them, our guys. 13 of them are Ethiopians. And when I was sitting like 7 months ago I just started the job of Atalef CEO. In the opening, I looked at all these Ethiopians and I started to ask when you arrived, when you did it. Then you know the coin is going down, and you said, wow, either these guys came, I mean the older, they came as babies, or they are kids of the ones who came with our boats. And you know, this is something that I think there are many missions I cannot talk about, but this is something that first I can, and second I can be proud of talking to my kids, my grandkids, if I will live long enough, my grandkids, because this is something that it puts the footprint on the history.
Why did you decide to become CEO of Atalef?
You know what? It's a tough decision. I felt that I need to do something different. I made a huge career. I was quite successful. I could continue. I said, I'm healthy. I'm okay financially. I need to do something for others. And actually my wife pushed me a little bit for that. But once I got into the job, I realized how right was this decision to do. I don't know how long I will do it, but I know that this is exactly where I need to be now. And honestly, I was offered to go to India to be the general manager for Xerox in India. I said, no, I'm doing something for society. For a change, I'm doing something for someone else. For me, the army was an adventure, was an experience, was a duty. That's my country. If I will not do it, who will? You know, if someone needs a volunteer, the right volunteer will never look around and say who else is coming. He will go, and the others will follow. So I never saw that. Only when I started as the CEO of Atalef, people come to me and say, hey, Rani, thank you for you do. And I look at them and say, guys, you donate money to Atalef. Why do you thank me? They say, no. What you did for the country, they don't say your country. What you did for our country, not many people did. And it gives me the perspective that I never had. I did because that's what I was educated to go first and to be excellent in what I do. And now I feel that my impact on the Israeli society, you know, we started the body line with 32 pairs. This year we are jumping to 68.
Wow.
We started with no youth at risk. We'll start to touch this year with 170 kids. I mean, it's 170 kids that could finish in jail, killing themselves in gangs, drugs, whatever.
Or suicide.
Also, I mean, so for me, it's a mission. Somehow it was hidden somewhere, and now it's great. I mean, I'm really grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.